Hey everybody, hope you had a good week. Today I'm going to answer a question from the comments. This is from Jason Mims5057. I have a video idea of something I wonder about with recovering addicts. How do recovering addicts cope with society's judgments? It seems like recovering addicts are treated horribly by society, like they're dangerous and something to run away from and get no respect at all. How does someone recovering from drug addiction cope with that? It's a great question, and I've got an answer. We're gonna talk about it. But real quick, if you're new here, I'm Brian. I was a trauma ICU RN. I became a full-time heroin and meth addict. I was arrested for selling drugs, and now I'm finishing out the rest of my 3 to 10 year sentence on house arrest. This channel is just a way for me to share with you what it's been like living an addicted life, as well as what I'm doing now to rebuild my life from scratch. So welcome. All right, before I dive into my answer to this question, I think it's probably necessary to set the stage with the circumstance that we're in here. To paraphrase Dr. Gabor Mate, addiction is manifested in any behavior that a person craves and finds temporary relief or pleasure in, but suffers negative consequences in the long term, and yet still has trouble giving it up. I mean, look around you. What do you see? Can you think of anyone who is engaging in behaviors right now that give them temporary relief or pleasure that they absolutely know is causing long-term consequences, but they are struggling to give it up? I mean, the answer is you and everyone else. We are a culture of addicts. Our society is basically one giant festering addiction epidemic at this point. And it's not like the powers that be are trying to address this problem. It's actually quite the opposite. It feels like our society's entire MO at this point is to get people to buy and subscribe to shit that they don't need to fill a void and provide temporary relief or pleasure at the cost of long-term consequences of every sort, from personal to global. Society encourages us to be addicts. Society thrives on us being addicts. They say that the average person is exposed to somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day. What is an ad if not an appeal to get you tangled up in some temporary relief or pleasure? The thing is, most people are addicted to something, but most of those things society is cool with. Even when someone is addicted so badly to something that it's really having a negative effect on their lives and on the lives of the people around them, society as a whole is generally cool with it. Even though we all know by now that nicotine and processed food and alcohol and social media are bad for you, we don't take people who have life-deranging addictions to these things and shame them to the fringes of society. But there is this smaller minority of addictions, of people who are addicted to a particular group of substances, that when they are suffering from debilitating addiction to those particular substances, we ostracize them, we shame them, we make them into criminals, we literally lock them in cages and put felonies on their records. Now, why society has decided that these particular substances are the evil ones, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's been established that alcohol is more toxic than even crack or heroin. But my point is, to go back to Jason's question of how do recovering addicts cope with society's judgments, I would say the first helpful thing to do is maybe to realize that society is a hypocrite. Society is powerfully confused about what its real problems are and how to address them. Society doesn't know shit about your well-being and what matters to live a meaningful life. So fuck society. And the truth is, as far as your day-to-day life is concerned, there is no society. Society is really just an idea. Your life is made up of individual encounters with individual people that are in your immediate proximity, that you are immediately in contact with. Society is just like a construct of what the larger group think and the momentum that certain institutions have in our world. And while those things may have very real effects on you as an individual, for example, like me being incarcerated, that's funny. It ultimately, The concern should just be where you're at in your own individual life with the individual people that are around you. And if you run into people that have real issues with you personally because of your drug history past, I mean, chances are that person has a problem that they haven't dealt with yet, because if they can't muster some compassion and understanding for you as a person who has gone through something serious and is trying to get better, then they are probably hiding issues of their own. Becoming well in your own life breeds compassion in your heart. So people who are really closed off like that probably have issues, and you should have compassion for them, and then, move on to and surround yourself with people who are more supportive, because there are plenty of people out there who will be endlessly supportive of you in your recovering from these issues, as you deserve, right? I mean, if you're making a real effort at getting better, then you deserve to be surrounded by people who are supportive of that. This doesn't mean you have to win everybody over. You just move forward and surround yourself with what is helpful to you in your recovery. And you know what? Society is not. It's not supportive of this process. It's very much the opposite in many ways. So don't hesitate to remove yourself from those unhelpful aspects of society and find ways of being in your day-to-day life that support your recovery. So I was trying to come up with a song of the week right now, but I don't have one, actually. Let me see if I can just come up with something that I love already. All right, you know what? I figured it out. I don't think I've ever done a Tool song on here as song of the week. Tool is one of my favorite bands ever. I've seen them live a couple of different times. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. And if you've never listened to Tool before, I'll start you off with something off of Lateralus called The Grudge. So The Grudge by Tool is the song of the week. And there you go. That's it. Okay, guys. I'll see you next week. All right. See ya.